Hey
Hello,
now.
everyone. Welcome to the Next Issue podcast. What am I doing over here? There we go. How's it going? How's it going, everyone? We see Josh, unfortunately, in the chat only due to connection. He googled the symptoms and it said he had network connectivity issues. I hear that's going around, so make sure to go talk to your doctor about network connectivity issues. How's it going,
Pretty good, man.
Jeff? How are you?
Just trying to stay warm.
I am good. I am
Now that you're unmuted, how are
now
you?
that I'm unmuted, I'm perfect. Everything's great. I survived the big winter storms
I
that
know, man.
blew through the country.
Had to. That's right. Stay up on all your shots.
Yeah,
Um, how did you guys hunker down? Were you guys ready for this? This was a walk in the park. I feel compared to last time around,
Yeah, because it was a lot longer.
and there was no precipitation on the ground. Really, there was a little bit, but it
There was a
very
little
quickly
bit,
went
but
away.
it
Yeah,
disappeared quick.
quickly
yeah.
went
We didn't have
away.
to deal anything with like what Buffalo had to deal with, or like any of
Yeah,
those other
Yeah,
viral
but to
video places.
Texas, like just anything on the ground freaks people out. They can't drive on ice or water or
I
anything.
mean, I know I can't. So like, I specifically went out the week before. I bought my
Bought all the
groceries at
toilet
a
paper and bread
Well, I
and
bought
milk.
my groceries at just like way before in advance, right? Like almost by the time we got to the weekend, I was almost out. But no, we were ready. We knew we were gonna at least a couple days to be like, yeah, let's just stay in here, stay warm. Our main concern was, especially Monday morning when Encore put out the like, hey, can you guys maybe conserve power from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. And we're like, no, we can't. Yeah,
Yeah.
like dude,
Listen,
like
I think every time they come out with a statement like that, as we're all from Texas, we've all had to deal with the constant ridiculous shenanigans of our power company. They need to just set up old school stockades and let us throw vegetables. All our rotten vegetables because the power goes out.
My
We
vegetables
get to
have
throw them
batteries in the middle.
no shit.
to
Probably
old
shouldn't be
school
eating
throw
those.
at their CEOs and whatever, their board of directors, because it's ridiculous how they can't get their stuff together. This is
I
not a
mean,
political podcast at all,
yeah, it's not, but
though.
it's weird to be like in a state that votes for people that actually deny us utilities that we pay for. So
It's
when we
crazy.
have rolling brownouts or just any kind of
Oh,
power issue, it's also a state that gets 115-degree weather. So it's like, you
And then they
know,
make us pay for it. Like they're like, oh, then you can raise their bills because to pay for these extra costs.
listen, about these brownouts, that was a private conversation, Clay. I don't know why you had to bring it up. Um, I'm just kidding. I haven't shit my pen in years. Um, but speaking of not shit, today we're going, man.
not shit.
I'm glad we're not
Perfect
monetized.
transition. Perfect
Yeah.
Great
transition.
segue.
Speaking of the segues, um, today we're gonna be talking about about the best movies of 2023. And then depending on how much time we have left, once we're done with that, we will. Oh boy! Oh, that was a nice segue. Very. If there was an Olympics for segues, I would at least have placed.
Yeah.
You
Um,
would have at least been marked present.
that's right. So yeah, we're gonna be talking about the best movies of 2023. 2023 was a spectacular year in film.
Yeah.
I don't know the last time where I have I have a top 20 list that you can go see on Letterboxd. Obviously, we won't cover all that
Damn.
here. Yeah, and all those are still like 4 stars and above. So it was a good year in film. A lot of really good
I was gonna
stuff.
say, where's your link? Now I kind of want to go see
Oh, it's
your.
on the
Oh,
documents.
there
It's
it
on the
is. Okay.
docs. Yeah, it's on the doc. So yeah, we'll make the list public after the show, right? Try to save some of the suspense. Clay nods in approval of my list. Oh, well,
I
maybe
haven't
not.
seen all of them, so it's kind of tough to
Yeah.
acknowledge. I'll see if there's anything that I like completely disagree with.
But even if you like just click on there's a couple of movies that are a little bit. Here, I'll give you a little taste. There's a few movies that are a little divisive. I think Saltburn's a little divisive. I think people either
Yeah,
really
because
like that or
that's
didn't.
who was it? Leonard Kim hates it.
Yeah, that's right. Leonard Kim, and he usually loves everything. So,
He loves everything.
so yeah, it must have been pretty strong reaction. But yeah, that I mean that, and that's not even on my top 10, but it's still I have it like around 4 stars, I think. Yeah. So we'll share that after the show. But yeah, it was a good year in film. So we'll get into that, and then
I've got to see the Iron Claw. I'm just really curious because I have a friend who just has said it's not good at all, but you put it at number 6 of last year.
I mean, I don't know what your friend's problem with the film might be, other than
He grew
it's
up
not
with
a
them. I mean,
documentary.
he's the same age as me. That's the only thing I can think of is like he holds it, I guess, maybe a little more personal.
Maybe. I mean, I will say it's not a documentary. So
Yeah.
of course things are dramatized and things are omitted, or like, characters are kind of like all kind of put together. But boy, as far as how you make a film, that was a film. So that's how you do it.
I was just thinking,
That was a film.
it's not even on my list, and I was like, I keep forgetting that I've seen that movie. So that's kind of my opinion on it.
Interesting, because I had a very strong reaction at the theater.
My favorite thing about the movie is like it feels like a movie. It feels like a real go to the theater film movie that you kind of the reason why you go to watch them.
I was looking for that. I was just scrolling for that too.
When you said that, I was like, "What the fuck?"
That's right. Hey, if that's good enough for a film festival as an answer, I think it's good enough for a podcast.
It barely
Granted,
qualifies as an answer.
I don't have the cachet of Harry Styles, but maybe someday.
I don't even know who that dude is.
He's from One Direction. He was in a band. Now he's an actor. He's also in Star Fox. In the
oh, that's
MCU.
right. He's Star Fox. Okay.
He also apparently maybe spit at Chris Pine.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Okay, yeah, that's right.
The whole Olivia Wilde thing. Right.
Dude, oh man. I mean, we already did a 2024 show, but we went into the things we were excited for. We didn't really talk about the stuff that we were not excited for, which I think would be an interesting show as well. And it would probably be a lot of Sony movies on there.
Yeah, I keep seeing commercials for Madam Web, and I'm like,
yeah,
there's a small part of me that's always optimistic. It's like, what if it's just a really weird, fun movie? But I don't think that part's going to
listen. As somebody that
what's killed my optimism about some of these, yeah, because like I just held out no hope for Madam Web.
As someone that loved all the dumb movies that we got in the early 2000s, I'm very excited. So there's that. That's whatever that tells you. But let's talk about good movies instead. How about that?
Okay.
Let's. Yeah, well, I'm just gonna throw it up to you, Clay. Give us some. Let's start with some honorable mentions. Some stuff that didn't break into your top 5.
Well, I really want to talk about this movie because I think this is an underrated gem. I didn't see it in I saw it in 2023, but it is from 2010 because I just don't hear anyone talk about this movie called Stone. And it was for my other podcast, a pick that we found on Tubi. It has De Niro, it has Ed Norton, and it is just a small story, a small crime story. I mean, it's just really fucking good, but because it wasn't last year, I just happened upon it. I just really want to talk about it because I feel like more people should see this movie. It starts off really intense and never drops down a bit. Fuck yes, check out Stone. I don't even know if the trailer is as exciting as what as much as I'm excited for this film. Like, if you guys get a chance to check it out, it's free on Tubi. De Niro and Norton playing a prisoner and a parolee, like not investigator, but like basically the person who's like the last approval on parole.
I will read you the highest rated review on Letterboxd.
Okay.
This is an important film because it combines Robert De Niro, who stopped caring a long time ago, with Edward Norton, who just recently stopped caring. Together, they both don't give a shit. We get a super boring garbage movie.
Wow. Fuck. I
need
need somebody else to verify and watch this movie, and maybe I was over medicated, but I really dug this movie, and maybe I need to rewatch it because that's a shit review. That is harsh.
It's got a 2.6 average on Letterboxd, so I feel like it's a truer, maybe. I'm looking for a positive review, and the highest one I can find right off the bat is 3 stars. Whoever made the decision to give Edward Norton cornrows, I hope you never know peace.
That is a choice. That is very. I think that's more spoiler territory to know that Edward Norton wears cornrows in this.
It's on the poster. I thought, yeah, it's on the poster.
Oh,
so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is
that Mila Jovovich?
Yeah. She's Ed Norton's love interest.
Jovovich.
Yeah.
Francis Conroy.
Francis Conroy is married to not Edward Norton, but De Niro. It's a very small. It was a play that was adapted to a film.
Oh,
and
sometimes those are tough.
Huh?
Sometimes those are tough to like really get a play into a movie.
Yeah. Now I'm like going. Maybe I watched a different movie with the way how critical people are, but I thought it was very fucking intense thriller.
Okay. Well, that's a good segue into now better movies.
Do you want me to do another honorable?
Yeah, do another one.
Another one, complete opposite direction. No One Will Save You is a horror film about God, I don't even kind of want to say. I don't even know how much the trailer gives away, but it really follows one character. It's almost entirely silent. But this character is living in this town where she's I guess seen as kind of a villain, but they don't really explain why.
She's a pariah, and it has to do with one of her friends who passed away. So
yeah,
I feel like she was involved in something. Yeah.
And then an invasion starts.
Right.
And then I really loved it, but not my top 5 are solid. Yeah. They're not going to move.
It stars Caitlin Dever, who was just cast in The Last of Us Part 2 or the season 2. So like
she was in Booksmart. She's really
I like her
good.
a lot. I think she's great. She's really funny because when I was watching, when I was watching Tim Allen sitcoms, she was in one of them, The Last Man Standing. But then she left the show in the later seasons. But yeah, she's really good. You're right. I think she's really funny too, and she's just a great actress. So we'll see. I'm excited to see what they're gonna do with.
She carries this film all by herself, and that's how and does it without a lot of dialogue. So that's how good it is.
Yeah, this is a Hulu original, I guess, or whatever. It came out on Hulu streaming. So if you haven't checked it out, I agree with Clay.
Slashback is another horror film that I believe was exclusive to Shudder, or was it also on Hulu?
That one I'm not familiar with.
Okay. Let's see here if it says it. I should have looked that piece up. But it's a story of another alien invasion type scenario, but with Native Americans. And that's all I'm going to say. I don't want to spoil any more of it because it is a great film. It's just anything I kind of hint about will just give away the movie. And I feel kind of gives it away.
What is it?
I'm
Predator
getting
Prey.
a little bit of Paper Girls vibes with the poster.
Oh, okay. Yeah, a little bit. I want to say it's like Goonies, but if Goonies was rated R, like it's got a little more bite to it, and I loved it. No, it's on Hulu, so it is a Hulu exclusive.
This isn't your parents' Goonies, kids.
Yeah, if Goonies, like, instead of Data like having technology, one of the kids just full blown has a gun because they're used to hunting and have a completely different background completely. But I enjoyed it. I really loved it. It's a great horror flick. I don't want to compare it to like Reservation Dogs, but it kind of has that vibe. So,
Have you ever seen Attack the Block?
I love Attack the Block. Oh,
Yeah.
yes. That's the perfect example. If you enjoyed Attack the Block, Slashback is perfect for you.
Okay.
Nice.
My last honorable mention is Blue Beetle. I mean, it's a great film for being an origin film. It sucks that it's on the end of DC's stuff, but it is fun. It really just decided to say, I'm just going to have a fun origin film. And so Blue Beetle will get a lot of rewatches from me.
Yeah, I'm glad we kind of went out on a nicer note with the DC universe ending.
Oh, yeah.
with Blue Beetle. But we got a whole stream where we talked all about Blue Beetle, so you can find that on the channel. If you haven't seen that, you can hear us gush about Blue Beetle.
What if George Lopez is the only thing that makes it out into the gun universe?
There's no way they recast Solo. He's so good.
He's too perfect.
He's so good at it. So, all right, Jeff, let's talk about some of your honorable mentions.
My honorable mentions. I'm going to start with Cocaine Bear. I believe that came at the very beginning of 2023.
Yeah.
And that is just a fun. I enjoy this kind of like fun horror movie kind of subgenre we're seeing in horror movies right now, where it's just kind of these ridiculous concepts. This one being that based off of a true life story that a bear in I believe it's Tennessee woods snorts a bunch of cocaine and goes crazy and just starts killing people. That didn't necessarily happen in real life. I think in real life the cocaine bear just died from cocaine exposure, but or took a nap or something. I don't remember, but
he overdosed.
Did he overdose? Okay, yeah. This, you start them young. It's just a problem.
He was 175 pounds.
Oh,
so I mean,
that's a small bear because
that's a small bear. So he didn't really know his coke level.
No, not at all. But super fun movie. Great, just a great horror comedy, I think.
Yeah, it's got some really dark horror, dark humor in it, and I loved it.
Yeah, and it's pretty graphic. Yeah,
it's one of my favorite Alden Ehrenreich. Oh,
yeah.
Performances. Sorry, Alden. I don't know how to say your last name, and I'm not even gonna try.
Oh, he is great in this. I didn't even realize that's who that was because he was playing such a character.
He was really into
I think
it.
He is. That is my favorite Aaron Aldenreich movie. I think is how you say his name.
Yeah, and I like Solo. Like I don't have any.
Oh yeah, I love Solo.
So,
but he was also good in that. What's that movie with? Is it Scarlett Johansson? Or he's like it's an old Hollywood kind of
Hail Caesar.
Yeah. He was pretty interesting. Like he had a fun character in that. I don't think he gets enough credit for being a funny guy.
Well, he's on another movie that I'm going to talk about later on, so we'll come back to that.
Okay.
I forget. Elizabeth Banks directed Cocaine Bear.
She did. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think I want to see. My main takeaway from Cocaine Bear was I want to see an Elizabeth Banks slasher film. Specifically that scene in the cabin with the Rangers where the bear's kind of killing everyone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I want like a B movie slasher where it's like real gory and corny, but you can tell it's like almost kind of like the Thanksgiving film that we got this year from Eli Roth.
Oh, okay.
That's kind of what I want
with it, like an evil Evil Dead 2 vibe.
Not that far into that, because I think I don't that's too far for me. I don't really like the Evil Dead movies. But a little bit, if you rein it in a little bit, I think Elizabeth Banks would do something fun with that.
Yeah.
So, what else, Jeff?
Other honorable mention for me is I just recently saw Poor Things, the Emma Stone.
See,
Mark,
I'm not a
movie.
Yorgos person, so I'm hesitant to go watch it in the theater.
It's crazy. It's an insane movie. Like I didn't know I don't know if I don't think I've ever seen any of his movies. I almost watched The Lobster one time, but
He did one, yeah. He did The Lobster, and he did The Favorite as well with Emma Stone.
Oh, he did Dogtooth. Fuck that.
Oh, I've seen The Favorite. Dogtooth
is just a like do you want to be depressed for like 90 minutes? Go watch Dogtooth. It's just soulless and empty.
Yorgos is a little weirdo. So.
He's weird, and this movie definitely pushes a lot of things. It is it's a little Tim Burton-y. It's a little it's very colorful, and it's not a bad story. It's just very like
I've heard it's very sexually explicit.
Very sexually explicit.
So,
which I did not know. I knew nothing about this movie going into it. I saw it like the day after Emma Stone won the Golden Globe. So I was what's this movie?
That's why I'm waiting for it to watch at home, because I feel like I only have one of those like really sexually explicit films in me every once in a while at the theater, and that was Saltburn. So I've covered my bases there. Now, Josh chiming in, The Favorite is incredible. I love how he spelled it the right, like The Favorite, like the British way that like the movie is. The Lobster was hard to get through, but he's excited to see this one. So, well, if you watch Poor Things, I guess don't watch it with your family, Josh. Maybe.
Yeah, don't. No, please.
It's a great Mother's Day movie.
This is a rated R movie.
Take mom and dad.
But yeah, not a big Yorgos guy. But I do like Emma Stone. I'm almost finished with The Curse. It's just really hard for me to get in the mood to watch that show.
None of his movies look like they bring joy. Like, you don't want to spend 90 minutes in his world because it just looks sad.
The Favorite might. I feel like if I'm gonna enjoy any of them, it's maybe The Favorite.
What is the plot to The Favorite?
England, early 18th century, the close relationship between Queen Anne and Sir Churchill is threatened by the arrival of Sarah's cousin, Abigail Hill, which I think is Emma Stone. So I feel like that's just more of a like kind of like bickering back and forth. I mean, Olivia Colman
does not sound fun at all.
But it's Olivia Colman, it's Emma Stone, it's Rachel Weisz, it's Nicholas Hoult. Like,
Beast.
No, it's great. It is very funny.
I would
it's
watch
a very
it
funny
for
movie.
I feel like this one is funny. This one, I feel like
this
one's funny from that description.
Well, yeah, because it's kind of like the cousin that comes in and it becomes the favorite of everyone immediately, and then shenanigans ensue. So yeah, Josh is giving it the funny, and if somebody knows funny, it's Josh. I mean, he was on Arrested Development, so like he knows funny. He played the Thing. Josh played the Thing on Arrested Development.
The Thing. All right, my last one is D&D Honor Among Thieves. Just barely makes it into my top 5.
Or into the honorable.
It would probably be my number 6.
Yeah.
It's just a fun movie. I love Chris Pine. I think he's such a good actor, charming as heck. He may be our modern day Gregory Peck. I don't know.
Okay.
I thought our modern day Gregory Peck was his grandson that's on Star Trek.
Josh Peck? I don't know who Gregory Peck's grandson. If Josh Peck is Gregory Peck's grandson,
Ethan
mind
Peck.
blown. Okay, good. I like to keep my mind. D&D Honor Among Thieves is it's one of those properties that you don't expect much from, because you would think a studio would just trip and fall flat on their face while trying to do this. But it turned out to be a great movie, a great ensemble cast, super fun. Just a fun movie.
That's my number 14 movie of the year. 4 stars.
I got halfway through it and never finished it. Like,
Oh.
so. I
But
don't
you
know what
also
that
love the
says
movie
for it.
that everybody hates on the Stone movie.
That's true. I only follow my word if you like weird shit. So, except for that, I don't know. I don't think I can watch the Poor Things. That just looks too out there.
We're gonna make Shelby. Make you watch it.
Poor Things for me was like, have you seen Amelie?
Yeah.
It's Amelie on whatever drugs. Like, I don't know if it's upper or downer. I can't decide, but it's definitely drugs.
Let's say acid, so you don't really know where it's gonna take you.
Yeah, 100%. That's the best one.
I agree with Leonard Kim. D&D deserved much better. But I mean, it's getting a sequel, so I guess it got enough. I think I talked
Hugh
about
Grant
this
is a
on-
great bad guy in that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did enjoy him in that.
I
I do
talked
like the
about this,
Renaissance.
on another place, but I love that it wasn't making fun of the D&D game or the community or like itself. Like it was taking it as seriously as you could take D&D.
Mhm.
And that's what made the movie really work.
Yeah.
Hugh Grant was great. Like everyone's really good. I think what's his name? He was the paladin. Regé Jean Page.
Oh, yeah.
He was so good at being like, if you've ever played D&D and you know what a paladin's supposed to kind of behave like he was really good at just making that silly choice of being like really stoic and like but it worked against everybody else. And
Yeah.
I remember my favorite thing I watched in the trailer was the reveal that of course Chris Pine is the bard. They make him seem like he may be the rogue, but no, then at the end of the trailer you find out he's the bard and you're like, yeah, of course he's the bard. That makes perfect sense. So I love it. Love to see it. All right. Let me talk about some of Josh's films. He did send us a list.
Yeah.
And I don't think any of these are on our top stuff. So I'll mention Hunting in Venice, which I also really enjoyed. Kenneth Branagh joint. If you like The Adventures of Hercule Poirot, you can watch that on Hulu. The Weird Al.
Your top 20.
It's not. That I think that one's a 3.5. So my list is 4 and up. Weird Al Yankovic, the Weird Al Yankovic story, or I guess Weird, the Al Yankovic story. That's just a good time. I think the main thing that movie had going against it is that half of the country doesn't know how to find the Roku movie.
Yeah.
Maybe even a higher percentage. But if you find it, it's a good time.
It is.
Daniel Radcliffe I love that he can kind of do whatever the hell he wants now too, because he's, Harry Potter gave him that freedom.
Yeah.
After stealing his childhood. Anyways, surprisingly, Josh put The Flash on here as an honorable mention, which is interesting because the more I think about that movie, the angrier I get at the wasted potential.
Yeah, that was wasted potential.
And then last notable for Josh, Indiana Jones: The Dial of Destiny. I like the movie, but I think also very divisive. Some people didn't appreciate the choices, but let Harrison Ford cook one last time. Yeah, you own a Roku.
The real answer is if you're having a binge of Indiana Jones films, which ones do you skip? And is this one of them?
You don't.
I say no. I definitely watched this.
You don't skip any. I watched them all. I watched them all in preparation for this, which really, dude, I'm telling you, Crystal Skull is not as bad as you remember it.
All right.
I'm telling you.
All right.
It's not a good movie either, but it's not as bad as you remember it.
It's not a good movie.
I don't think I will ever watch Crystal Skull again. I don't.
We're
I don't
doing a
think I
show.
will.
Patreons. I'm gonna open up the membership. I'm gonna open up the membership thing, and then we're gonna have people.
The only thing I would enjoy about Crystal Skull is him surviving the nuclear blast in the refrigerator.
See?
Because as a child of the 80s, we know that is true.
Listen,
we could do a whole show on refrigerators in media. There's that special like Punky Brewster episode where the one kid almost dies in the refrigerator.
Yeah.
She gets stuck in it. That was Indiana.
I mean, where do kids get their information now if we don't have Punky Brewster or the very special episode of a late night sitcom?
Yeah, does that come in the Despacito video that gets 13 billion views? Do the kids know not to hop in? Was that pre-show conversation that I'm bringing up during the show?
Maybe.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell because I don't keep track of that stuff.
But kids would have to actually go out and play to end up in a refrigerator now. So,
Yeah. How many kids play in junkyards these days? Hardly
Also,
any.
I feel like refrigerators now are not as sturdy as they were back in the 50s when they were like, I think they were built out of tank parts.
Yeah, they were tough. Now refrigerators are just, like toaster ovens. You just throw them away and get a new one.
I have it looks like stainless steel, and I'm telling you, it has all the properties of like every time I touch it, finger smudges everywhere, no matter how clean my hands are. But yeah, I don't think it could withstand
a bullet.
It doesn't,
or a nuclear blast.
Yeah, it doesn't even like me leaving the door open for more than 10 seconds. It starts beeping at me. So,
oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm going to involve adding the gray circle between, Josh, go ahead and do a rewatch. I'm telling you. Now, I've never seen the Young Indiana Jones show, and I don't think I ever will.
I tried to revisit it, and it is not good. It is a really tough watch. The very youngest Indiana Jones are really, unless you're a child watching it, you may enjoy it. But then, like the older ones with like Sean, what's his name? Sean Patrick Flannery. His are okay. They're probably the most tolerable to watch.
River Phoenix played him as a kid in the movie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I remember that. I love that opening actually.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
That's the second one with the dad,
or it's the third one with the dad.
The third one with the dad, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Second one's Temple.
Last Crusade.
That's right.
And I think Last Crusade is my favorite. I know it should be the first one, but I think Last Crusade.
I really like Doom. I really like Temple of Doom. I remember I got a list somewhere. I've already done this exercise. All right, let me go through some of my honorable mentions before we get into the meat and potatoes of the show, or potatoes and side vegetables if you're a vegetarian. So yeah, Blue Beetle was my number 10. So we've already talked about that. The other one I'll mention is an animated film called Suzume. It's beautiful. It's by the same studio that gave us Your Name and Weathering with You, and I'm just a big fan of like that studio, those creators, and these little stories that feel like slice of life mixed in with like really high fantasy, but in a contemporary setting. I don't want to get too deep into it because I think it might spoil the movie, but you can watch this on Crunchyroll if you haven't seen it. It's really good and it looks beautiful. Like it's some of the best animation I've seen. And if you saw my video on my favorite animated films from this year, you'll see that it's pretty high up there. Not the top one, but it's pretty high up there.
Is Crunchyroll the same thing as a Roku?
Huh? Crunchyroll? It's a Roku for kids.
Oh, okay, good.
I'm gonna skip number 8 because it's on somebody else's list later on, so we'll talk about it then. And number 7 is Killers of the Flower Moon, which is now available to watch on Apple TV, and it's that low because the movie's fantastic. It's beautifully made. It's really well performed. I mean, Marty Scorsese knows what the hell he's doing. But Leonardo DiCaprio is great. Lily Gladstone is great. I'm surprised not to see her nominated on the BAFTA awards. Must be the British bias. But yeah, it's great. It's a hard watch. Like,
yeah, I was gonna say it looks like another 3 hours of not fun.
Well, yeah, for sure. Like it makes you angry of like, oh, fucking colonizers. Yeah, that's all it is. It's 3 hours of that, and it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And if you know real life history, you know that maybe it didn't have a fully complete happy ending. But there's a lot to observe. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot to kind of think about. So if you do have the 3.5 hours, I recommend it, even just for the performances. They're great. And then we've already talked about Iron Claw. That was my number 6. I was sobbing uncontrollably at the end of the movie in the theater, in the front row, and it was great. I loved it. I'll be really curious to figure out why your friend doesn't like it. Clay,
Yeah,
so,
I yeah,
I think
because I
it's the
want to
same
see
reason
it
that
to
I
be
am
able
like,
to.
yeah, maybe when you watch it, you let me know, because I feel like you know, you said your friend is of kind of the same generation, but then
Yeah.
also you know, and I think you're gonna enjoy seeing Dallas back in the day. I think they did a good job.
Old Dallas.
Old Dallas. So
that part was cool, but I my guess is that Clay, you're right. Is that just because he grew up or they grew up in the area, much like we did, it just didn't feel big enough, almost. I guess in a way.
Yeah. He did say that. He didn't. He said just how big the Von Erichs were. Just you couldn't conceive it, and they were bigger than the Cowboys.
I think the film does a good job portraying how big they were locally, but because it's so centralized, like each of the territories were very centralized.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, on a larger scope, like, yeah, of course, like the NWA was doing big things over, like in Georgia and on that side of the. So I think it does a good job, kind of. So maybe there is a lot of like hometown bias on that side, but yeah, if you get to watch it, Clay, it's an A24, so I think because of the new deal, it should end up on Max eventually, like with the new deal that they have with HBO and A24. So that's one thing that Saslav didn't fuck up, was like, oh, hey, they make good movies, we should get those on our service.
Where is the Iron Claw in your ranking of all-time wrestling movies?
Oh shit.
I think after this and The Wrestler, like, why make any more movies? Like, stop making movies. Stop making wrestling movies. You've nailed both the based on true events and the fully fictional side of wrestling. So
I would also have to add Glow in there, the series and the documentary. Those are both solid. I wish we'd get a season 3 of Glow.
There's
So
that great documentary. What is it called? Under the Mat or something like that. I can't remember.
Oh yeah.
So there's those.
That's a great. Yeah.
And then way at the bottom, Ready to Rumble with David Arquette.
Yeah.
Y'all don't remember the Peter Falk led female wrestling movie All the Marbles about lady wrestlers?
Oh, I don't think so. I don't think I've seen that.
Yeah, because it came out when I was a kid.
All I remember is David Arquette going to a 7-Eleven and telling the guy, like, hey, this Slurpee smells like shit. And he got it for free.
All the Marbles, 1981.
What a bad movie. Not All the Marbles, the Ready to Rumble.
Ready to Rumble.
And they even took someone's championship to give it to David Arquette in real life, which was a shame because I think somebody was on a streak. Maybe it was Diamond Dallas Page. I don't remember who it was. I haven't.
Yeah, the WCW. He won. Yeah,
whoever the WCW championship, like their title reign got derailed because of this film, because David Arquette won it in real life. So, but at least they gave us that documentary that David Arquette did on how he got into really wrestling very recently. I haven't seen it, but I hear it's very good. Like, he really goes through like training and stuff. So I don't know, very interesting.
Stay tuned for the wrestling episode sometime in the future.
Maybe I got a couple friends that we can invite to talk about wrestling. All right, Clay.
Royal Rumble's 2 weeks away.
That's right. We're gonna have.
I would have to be brought in as a noob and show me how to watch wrestling. I tried to watch it with friends before, and it almost broke out into a fight because those guys were just arguing over shit, and I was just like, "This doesn't seem fun." You guys get together every week and do this?
Yeah, that doesn't sound fun. All right, we're gonna start with our 5 and then below, so we'll just kind of go in order. So, and I think we all have different films on our top stuff.
Yeah.
Except maybe the higher stuff is kind of similar, and then I'll bring up Josh's things closer to the end because he's got a few things that we all have.
So I don't think anyone has this number 5 because it's a Shudder exclusive called The Apology.
Okay.
man, I was like, oh, it has Janine Garofalo on it. I'm gonna check it out. It also has oh my god, Skylar from Anne Gunn from
Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad. And man, this is a tough role. So she plays someone who, God,
I can
don't
read
know.
the synopsis if you want.
Read the synopsis because I feel like I'm going to give it away.
Yeah. 20 years after the disappearance of her daughter, a recovering alcoholic is preparing to host her family's Christmas celebration when her estranged ex-brother-in-law arrives unannounced, bearing nostalgic gifts and a heavy secret. Man, that sounds pretty intriguing.
You know what's happening. Like, you know where it's going. And so the three of them basically have to carry this movie. Okay. And you are on the edge of your seat the whole time. It's really fucking good. And it feels realistic, like not like it feels like this is what would happen in real life if somebody terribly had to go through this. But yeah, I say it's a horror film because it's so close to real life.
Okay.
Okay. So who's next? Or do you want me to go for?
No, go ahead, Jeff. Yeah, we'll just go. These will just go one by one. So, Jeff, what's your number 5?
My number 5 is Megan, which also came at the very beginning of 2023. Another horror movie, horror comedy kind of movie. Megan, about a killer robot girl doll AI thing. That it just goes. It's a killer robot movie. Is really what it is. And again, just a fun horror comedy kind of movie. Not more horror than comedy, I would say, but
yeah. Did you ever go back and watch the R-rated cut on Peacock?
No, I did not.
There's an R-rated version of this film that I feel a lot of people, their main complaint about this one, and I didn't have that complaint, was that it feels like they took out a lot of the violence so that it would end up being PG-13.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
To get a bigger audience. But yeah, I think, I mean, just from the people that I'm my mutuals and Letterboxd, like they all have this pretty high. I have this pretty high. I have it at 4 stars. It didn't make, you know why it didn't end up on my top 20? Well, 2 reasons. One, because Letterboxd has this as a 2022 film because I think it premiered somewhere first. Like
it premiered in late December, like in New York.
One of those. Yeah. So, but it went wide on 2023. So it kind of probably filtered it out on my stuff. But yeah, I enjoy this film too. I really liked it. It's eerie how
people dressing around as Megan, like it was a little cult following kind of thing for a while.
But it's the same premise as the Chucky reboot. It's a killer doll that the AI has gone crazy on. So I feel like they had to take it up a notch, but I believe if you watch the R-rated one, the violence that you see there is also like a cat being killed. So if you don't like animal death, that's a thing. And it's pretty violent death. It isn't just like, the cat's killed off screen. It's a pretty violent death.
The cat's in the cradle and whatever.
I'm definitely watching it.
But yeah, I enjoyed it too. I thought it was fun.
Nice.
I do hope we get a because this is the same people that did what is it, Malignant?
Yeah.
So I would love to see a Megan versus Malignant movie somehow down the road. Like that's what I'm hoping for. I would love what if they built their own little like Universal Monsters universe kind of thing?
All right, here's my pitch for the Megan Malignant crossover. As we saw at the end, spoilers for both films, I guess. As we saw at the end of Malignant, the host, the entity is looking. It doesn't have a body anymore, right?
Right.
She took it back. She took back her body. So what if the Malignant is looking for a body and is trying to find its way into the Megan doll, and now they have to fight for it. They have to fight for control of the Megan body. So it's this AI, which kind of will maybe turn into our hero. This is how you turn Megan into a phase. You make it go up against the Malignant entity, and they're trying to fight a body and whatever. Maybe even it takes over that other little robot that they had in the family, like the robot.
The robot.
Yeah, something like that. I think. Listen,
We're writing
we'll
it right
write your
now.
movie.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, because I would say you would take the Malignant would take over the old robot, and then it would want to look like Megan, so it just takes victims and tears off their skin and puts it on
Ooh,
itself.
ooh, wow. I got real dark.
Yeah,
Clay's
real,
version is
real
going straight to
fast.
Clay's version is going straight to Peacock. He's not thinking. You're not thinking fourth quadrants, Clay.
I was like, oh, he's
Clay,
gonna build another Megan robot body, but no,
yeah.
we're
No, we're gonna have
we're
a
going
giant.
full on Buffalo Bill. Like,
We're gonna have a giant tank robot, but just covered in human flesh.
Clay's in this for the art, not the money. I love it. All right. Well, my number 5 is a pivot from this from any of the things we were talking about. My number 5 is John Wick Chapter 4. I love this film. I could watch Keanu fight his way up the stairs for like an hour.
Yeah.
Everything just really worked with this one for me. Like, I think the villain is a lot of fun. I love that Donnie Yen comes back and he just kicks a lot of ass. Of course, what's his name? Clancy Brown shows up, which like Clancy Brown makes
that's cool.
any movie better.
Yeah, he does.
And I think I've talked about this before, but unfortunately, because what's his name passed away right before Lance Reddick passed away, like very close to the release of this film. There was a lot of emotional impact because his character also passes away in the film. But yeah, I love the John Wick world. I can't wait to see what they're gonna do with Ballerina coming up this year. And if this is the end of John Wick, then I think they went out on a very high note. This was, as of when I watched this film, I gave it a 5 stars, and it took a while for it to not. I struggled with like my putting together my list of the top 5, and I can't believe that it fell this far because I was really hyped after watching this. So yeah, what do you guys think of John Wick Chapter 4?
I like the John Wick movies, but I like the first and third. The second and fourth don't really hit well for me. Yeah, and so even though this one was kind of I don't know, it had a lot of closure on a lot of things. I still would rather watch 1 and 3.
Okay.
I love kind of that. I love being in the real world in 1, and then you kind of go into that John Wick world. The rest of the movies, you're in that world, so there's nothing like magical about it. It's just the people and the stunts at this point. Yeah. And I feel it really worked with Halle Berry and her dogs because that was cool as shit. That was something new that we hadn't seen before. But I feel like 4 is, I don't know, you have to outdo each film, and 4 doesn't outdo 3.
Okay. Jeff, are you a John Wick? Where you at?
Yeah, this is where I'm at it as I did not see this movie, John Wick 4.
Boom.
I know. I'm kind of indifferent on John Wick.
Okay.
I like it as a concept. The first movie I think is great. I think they're all great action pieces, but from after the initial conceit of the first film, everything blends together for me. So he's either underground with what's his name in the pigeon, or he's like fighting his way in a glass building with swords.
You mean
or
Matrix reunion? They're having the Matrix reunion.
That was the one thing missing, that they couldn't get Carrie-Anne Moss somewhere in this film. That's the only thing I really.
What if she shows up in 5?
Maybe. I mean, I'll take a 5.
If you're because you're going to have to replace Lance Reddick if you do a 5, and so it's going to be a tough get. But if you distract with like a Carrie-Anne Moss, that'd be kind of cool.
Carrie-Anne Moss could be like, how there's the whole organization that does all the telephone stuff. Mm-hmm. Like, who's running that?
Oh, if she was in charge of it. Oh,
yeah.
That would be cool. You have to intro her answering a phone, an old analog phone.
Yeah. So, all right. There's my number 5. All right, Clay. Number 4.
My 4th pick. I don't think anyone else picked this movie at all in their rankings. The Menu.
Oh,
No?
I think that was a 2022 film, if I'm not mistaken.
It's showing 2022. Okay, well, I saw it this year. um, I just love this movie just for the fact Nicholas Hoult always delivers.
Hmm.
He's never had a bad role. He's always like, even if it's like the character he plays in this kind of transitions slowly, or maybe it's faster than I see it, of into this kind of like nerdy foodie into just a victim.
Yeah.
You know, God, like I'm just trying to think, is there a bad performance in any of this? And if you've seen it once, the thing that will make you want to watch it again is John Leguizamo based his character in this movie on Steven Seagal.
Oh, oh yeah.
So
Okay.
go back and rewatch that, and with that in mind, and it makes it even funnier. But I just love the mentality of the fear of missing out, the consumption of food being compared to just like consumption of media, and
Mhm.
just every kind of like layered topic that's put into this movie is just really amazing to watch unfold in here. But I think it's when Anya Taylor-Joy delivers almost like her monologue at the end when she's eating she asks for food, eats a bite, and then asks for a to-go bag, like basically insulting him on every level that he can't really uh fight back on, in a way, in the way that he is kind of set up this evening.
Yeah.
So I just love it. I just love the way it unfolded. It was a lot different than what I expected, and a lot smarter.
I love every time I believe her name is Hong Chow, the actress, said
Yes.
when she talked about the tortillas, anytime she brought them up was hilarious. Like, oh, these are tortillas. What do you mean? Like, yeah, I love that. Like the tech bros were great, perfectly cast.
So
Like
good.
everyone around, the chef's mom, like just being in the background. Yeah, I love this film. I'm pretty sure it was somewhere in the top for last year. I'm kind of looking around now. Do have a 4 star, so yeah, it had to be pretty high.
Yeah, there's a scene with like Judith Light, and I can't remember the other actor's name. He's a character actor, and they had been there many times, and so the chef just asked them after cutting his fingers off, like what meal was their favorite. Like,
Mhm.
you come here, you spend the money, you have created this memory for yourself. What is it? And
Yeah,
they can't recall the best meal they've had from this guy. It's just so, the way it evolves is so good and funny and dark at the same time.
yeah. Ralph, I mean, I love Ralph Fiennes. He's great. And
He
I so enjoy.
commands attention in
Mhm.
every scene he's in as the chef.
Yes, chef. Now, Jeff, have you seen the menu?
I've not seen the whole thing. I was a victim of having to walk in the room while other people were watching it. So I've seen like a scene here and there, and then I was like,
Yeah.
I can't. I need to go
You
start
got
from
to
the
see it from the
beginning.
beginning.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so I've seen bits and pieces. The parts that I've seen, I'm just like, oh, this looks amazing, but I couldn't stick
Okay,
around and watch it. But
cool. Well, in that case, then, Jeff, what's your next movie?
my next movie is The Marvels. I'm here to
Hey.
give The Marvels the credit that it deserves. It was such a it I don't know how it did at the box office. I don't understand. Like, there's a lot of people that like they were trying to give it good press and stuff. None of that matters. The movie is great. Kamala Khan is such Iman Vellani is such a gem of a human person. She is so good in that movie. Her character is so great. The movie is a fun Marvel movie, but in the best way possible. Um, it genuinely has probably two of my favorite moments in Marvel movies, uh, kind of both
Oh,
around the same concept of what's happening. But yeah, Brie Larson, I think, is really locked in on this kind of moody Carol Danvers character that she's created.
Yeah.
Um, there is a little bit, I think, of a bar because you do kind of maybe have to kind of watch WandaVision I do think that seeing Miss Marvel definitely helps going into this movie because as charming as Iman Vellani is in this movie, like would you bring what she did in Captain in Miss Marvel into the Marvels? Like it just carries so much more weight, especially because
Yeah.
her family is also in the movie. So
Very much
Oh
so.
God, that is a lot. You really have to be prepared going into this one.
Yeah, you
'cause-
have to watch WandaVision for Tiana Paris's kind of story. You have to watch Miss Marvel. You don't have to, but I think it definitely adds to, like,
yeah.
it does it. The movie tries to definitely get you caught up with who these characters are, and I really appreciate that. Um, my one big complaint was that I wanted more Carol and Nick Fury because I love their dynamic in the first film.
Yeah.
In this one, you kind of replace that a little bit with Iman Vellani's character, Miss Marvel, and Nick Fury, which is also a great dynamic. But I kind of wanted them more together, and especially seeing after Secret Invasion how dark Nick Fury's character went. It almost
Yeah.
feels like that's a completely. I don't know how it's the same character, but other than that, I really enjoyed the film. I had a really good time. I watched it at the theater twice, I think, that same weekend because it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So
Do y'all believe Maria Hill was a Skrull and is coming back?
I don't think she was a scroll, but I feel like they could very easily just dismiss Secret Invasion and bring her back. We'll be
I feel like she
yeah,
needs a hero's reveal at some point in the future.
they
And
they left that. I mean, they left a lot of things that are gonna be really hard for them to explain. Like Gaia is like superpower. Like why even have any more superheroes after that? So yeah,
well, you got
I
to
think
develop like god tier level
Yeah.
supervillains or superheroes and supervillains because you've already set the bar with Captain Marvel.
yeah. Or they're gonna have to nerf Gaia's powers somehow
Yeah.
in the future. So maybe maybe the whatever she took degenerates or something. I don't know. They'll figure it out. But yeah, I hope Maria Hill does come back because I recently watched Avengers: Age of Ultron, and she's a big part of that film, and also Winter Soldier. Like, and I mean, she's just
Yeah.
great. Kobe Smulders is great. But yeah, Clay, have you seen the Marvels? I know it's coming out to
No,
VOD. soon.
I'm,
Okay,
I'm having to wait for it to show up.
it's showing up soon. VOD, probably streaming very soon as well.
Yeah,
I would
I
imagine
did see a
maybe
copy
before
someone
Blu-ray.
had, but it was very bad and
Yeah.
it didn't show up well.
Okay. Well, it should be coming out pretty soon somewhere. So I hope you enjoy it and let us know. Come back when we see that. So
Yeah.
All right. My next film is, and this is also maybe pretty low because I think this is on some of you guys' list. But we're gonna talk about it. So I'll mention it and we'll talk about it in full when we get to there somebody else. So
Yeah.
at number 4, I have Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. And I know some of you guys have it higher, so we'll just come back to it whenever that shows up. Which, let me see, what's your next film? Yeah, let's just go to Clay. We'll talk about it in full Spider-Man later on.
Okay. Number 3, they cloned Tyrone from Netflix. A friend of mine got me a Netflix subscription and I wasn't sure what was worth watching on here. This is the best thing I've seen on Netflix as far as non-documentary style films. They Clone Tyrone starts off as a blaxploitation and evolves into a sci-fi film and has amazing performance. I mean, Jamie Foxx is always going to be amazing. He's amazing in this. And I'm sorry, the actress that plays Photon, she's
Tiana
in this.
Paris?
Yeah, she's in this as well. It's I don't know, like if anything, I think maybe we should watch the trailer on this one, or do you want to read the description of?
Yeah, I could pull up the description because I know it's kind of weird, but here, give me a second. This is a Netflix,
but I hear
it's a
I do
Netflix
hear
film,
it.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, The Clone Tyrone, directed by Joel Taylor, a series of eerie events thrust an unlikely trio onto the trail of a nefarious government conspiracy lurking directly beneath their neighborhood. Stars Jan Boyega, Tiana Paris, Jamie Foxx, Kiefer Sutherland. I mean, I don't know what else you need me to sell you on this film.
Yeah, I mean it's wild. It's a great ride, and I believe you'll never see an ending like this in any other film.
Okay. I also haven't seen this. I feel like I should. I think I just kind of missed the boat on that.
So good.
I think it came out during those couple of months last year that I canceled Netflix.
Oh, probably.
So that's probably why I missed
Yeah,
it.
because it was always in the top 10 of theirs, so
Yeah.
it was always suggesting it.
Okay. Cool. Jeff, what's your next film?
My number 3 film is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem cartoon film, produced by Seth Rogen, and it is the animation. You can tell they definitely took cues, I guess, from the Spider-Verse stuff, and that they pushed the animation to places that you don't normally see in American animation. All the voice acting was great, very
Yes.
humorous, but they also they walk that road between trying to appease old fans who maybe like a more gritty, I guess, Ninja Turtles with who's going to make them the money, the kids.
Yeah.
So it's I think they did a great job of walking that line of appealing to both crowds. The turtles themselves were all kids in real life, and so they sounded super authentic as teenage, Mutant Ninja Turtles. So
Yeah. I really enjoy this film. I think I can't believe that the thing that would make the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles more fun is the actual teenage part as opposed to the ninja part.
Yes.
But that's what it does. Like, I love it. I love the animation style. The characters feel like a lot of fun. I think my only thing about this one that kind of I'm not a big fan of Ice Cube's performance in this. I feel like he was just being Ice Cube.
Yeah, exactly. That's what
because
I
everyone
just
else.
watched it this week.
Okay, cool. So
And
yeah,
I loved it, but like Ice Cube is, doing a performance of Ice Cube, if that makes sense.
And Josh bringing up the second smartest thing that the film did not do was not using Shredder as a villain. I agree.
Yeah,
Shredder
completely.
definitely, like, he's a more mature character. He's more of the ninja part than the teenage part, right? So
well, they leave it, spoilers, open for obviously a sequel. And the things, I think the other thing that people might complain about is they definitely play around with the origin from what some people know. But I also think they leave wiggle room to kind of go back and retcon some of what they've done if they need to.
I'm a big fan of that ooze falling into the sewers. So even Jackie Chan was great too. I was not
he
was not my favorite design on the character either.
Yeah, it was kind of a weird choice.
And I think at some point the animation is purposefully like I don't know, the kind of like on the human people, like they look just weird.
Yeah,
like their faces look weird. But I mean, I know that's the choice. So if that aesthetic doesn't vibe with you, I can see why you wouldn't maybe like.
Well, I kind of like the idea of the morphed heads because that's what is quote normal.
Right.
Yeah.
So cool. Yeah, good choice. I love this film.
I love it too. It's my recommendation for this week because it's so fun.
Yeah.
All right. Well, pivoting completely off of that, my number 3 is Oppenheimer.
Weird.
It's the same movie.
Yeah, right. Weird that it's there. Weird that it. Tell me how is.
I don't know. Like I guess I look at like most of the films I'm picking is because they were fun or they bring a great, like Oppenheimer is telling a story, but again, like when people tell stories of historical moments and historical things, they were never there. They create these fictitious moments and they film it to their advantage. And yes, he's a great filmmaker, but I really hate when we could see a documentary about what really happened as opposed to what a filmmaker thinks really happened.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And again, to pose it as entertainment, and not showing. I'm just being nitpicky about it, I feel, but I do know that there were a lot of people who felt like there was no representation of what he had done. Like we don't get to see the deaths and the horror of what he's done. We just go through the steps to get there.
Yeah, I mean, there's a pretty powerful scene right after the bomb goes off where it gets pretty like it really. I feel like it addresses that. But you're right. This is more about the person who he was more than the events of whatever. Like you're right. I think I'm just kind of going through as I'm looking at the list. Because I was thinking about your statement of like movie that movies that are fun and entertaining. I think for me it was about like the experience of me watching the films. Like what did I get out of it? How not only how much entertained I was, but like just the like overall the theatrical experience. And I'm trying to like these are films that I remember how I felt right after watching the movie.
Oh, okay.
Like all these, especially the top 10.
So
You
it's
know,
giving you that moment. It's
yeah,
giving
yeah.
you
So it's
like
kind of
that.
like
See, this is where you
yeah,
need to play Harry Styles. It felt like a film that you go see in
right,
the
right,
theater.
right. But then like overall, I mean, other than what else is really like one of my favorite parts of this, and I feel like people are now finally talking more about it. The soundtrack, Ludwig, he's the guy that does the Mandalorian stuff as well. Let me see, Ludwig,
Johnny Cash,
Von
Johnny
Beethoven.
Jerry Reed.
No, he's a composer. Oh, Ludwig Göransson. He composed the soundtrack for this. He's done the Mandalorian. He's done like he to me feels like the kind of like Hans Zimmer handed off. Like here you go, you are me now. Something like that. I like that. Like it just, yeah, it just really works. This is the other Alden Iron, whatever. Solo
Alden
film.
Ehrenreich.
He's also in this. Uh, so yeah,
Uh,
it's great. The cast is great. Robert Downey Jr.'s character. I love the way the story's kind of told. Between like the trial or the not trial but like the Senate hearing, and then also like going back, remembering everything that led up to the Alamos, and then also not the Alamo. That's a Texas thing. Um, Los
Los
Alamos, and then
Alamos.
the other thing is that the bomb isn't even like you would think that would be the end of the film. There was still like 45 minutes after that film because that's not what I feel like that's Nolan telling you like that's not what this movie was about. Obviously, as far as historical context, that's probably the most important thing that happened in this film. And maybe if Nolan felt that that wasn't his story to tell, he wanted to explore the character of this person, right? Because I think one of the best scenes is towards the end. Oppenheimer's having a conversation with Albert Einstein about what the hell they just did. And I think, and that's what I think the movie, but like I said, it does address those things a little bit of like the how he felt about it and all the devastation that kind of was brought on from this. So yeah, like I said, these films are just vibes for me, and like man, this one really resonated. So
Yeah. Well, I know sometimes you go into films and it's not necessarily Oppenheimer more than it is a Nolan film.
yeah,
So it's really
That's-
going for that Nolan experience.
That's kind of how I
yeah.
felt about this film. Is that it's a Christopher Nolan film. So technically, it's amazing. The acting performances are good, but I just don't I don't feel a lot of emotion. I guess
Yeah.
I'm a little with Clay on this. It does feel it feels technically masterful,
Yeah.
but I don't. But for what the subject is about, it doesn't feel like it has enough emotional gravity to it.
Mhm.
It's a little cold in that.
Yeah.
That scene that you're talking about, where he kind of has the realization of what he had just unleashed on the world, and he's talking to the audience, to the crowd. They're all like,
And he
they're at
has the
Los
kind of vision
Alamos.
and stuff. Yeah.
Going into that scene, I was like, I feel like they haven't addressed this yet. And in my head, I was like, if this were a Terry Gilliam movie right now, this scene would be horrific. And
Yeah.
then Christopher Nolan kind of kicks it, like literally like 2 minutes after I have that thought, the scene starts turning. And
It goes
but I
really
already had
far
the Terry
into it.
Gilliam thing
Yeah.
in my head.
Yeah.
So like I was like, this is fine. It's not hard enough. Like in my head,
Okay.
it should have been 10 times worse. Also, like that line at the end of the movie where he's like, "What did we do?" I I was like, this is Jurassic Park. This is like, you need Jeff Goldblum coming in and giving the speech where he's like, you just built it to see if you could do it. You didn't think about what you were doing beforehand. And I feel like the movie, and maybe this is because it came out at the exact same time that another movie on my list, Barbie came out. So Barbie is about this movie that is like, we're all trying to understand each other because we're all living in this messed up world. And Oppenheimer is this very almost in the way like it's a very manly movie where it's like, I want to see if I can do this. I messed it up. Oh well. Kind of like,
Well,
and that was the end of the movie. Like, whoops, and
I
I felt like it didn't have enough.
I will say, I think to that point, I think Nolan wants to make it very clear that if he hadn't done it, somebody else would have. Right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's
yeah.
whole there's definitely a lot of like nationalism as part of this, which whatever, but still I like you kind of think about like what if the Germans had gotten to the atom bomb first, like, and you kind of think about all the consequences of that, and I don't know if we're better, but I don't know. I don't know.
We're the
Like,
bad guys. We're the
Yeah.
fucking bad guys.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
don't know that the U.S. isn't a bad guy,
yeah,
then you don't know American history.
Well, and I do think the movie does kind of, but play with that a little bit because there were a few lines where they were like, "But we've already beaten Germany." Like by the time the bomb was finished, Germany was already on its way out, and there was no real reason to drop the bomb on Japan other than just to show your, dominance in the
Right.
field of battle, and I guess just to end the war in one fell swoop. But
and that
at
leads
what
to one of
cost?
the
Kind of,
that leads to one of the best cameos in the film of Gary Oldman showing up as who was it?
Yeah.
Truman?
Truman.
Is it
Now that was a
Truman?
bit because I didn't recognize him at all.
Oh,
And me, I was like, when I saw the credits, I was like, where the fuck was Gary Oldman?
Yeah.
So like, yeah. But I get it. So this is one of the there are two films on my top 10 that I don't think I'm gonna like continuously rewatch. Everything else I would go back to. Like this and Killers of the Flower Moon for the same kind of reason. This is not like it's something I would maybe watch different scenes from or clips, but I would not go back and constantly rewatch this film like I watch some of other Nolan's films, like Inception or The Dark Knight. Like those are films that I like to revisit. This is something that maybe in 5 years or so, or if I'm gonna show it to a new person or something like that, then maybe I would go back and revisit. But as far as like moments of last year, yeah, that's kind of why it ended up at number 3. It was hard to kind of move those around, like I said, the top one. So, alrighty. I think that's enough Oppenheimer talk. Otherwise, we'll be here as long as that film is gonna be. Clay, what's your next film?
This was tough. My top 2 films, I wasn't sure which way to place them, but number 2 is Guardian of the Galaxies, Volume 3, The Story of Rocket, just fucking amazing. I'm excited for what James Gunn's going to do at DC. I did a rewatch of Peacemaker, and Guardians 3 has been one I put on constant repeat at home because I love that movie. I think Gunn took a villain that should be a higher tier villain and made him amazing on such a personal level. I feel like the High Evolutionary could come in and work with Kang and be that top tier kind of villain. Because that performance was amazing. If we don't get more High Evolutionary, then what the fuck are we even doing?
Yeah,
Guardians 3 pays off in every way and then kind of sets a path for everyone separately. I know some actors have said, like, David Bautista said he wouldn't return to Drax, and that kind of bums me out because I would kind of love to see where Nowhere is if we have an Annihilation story and we're in space. Like, how is Nowhere coping with it with Nebula and Rocket and the new Guardians? I want to see someone kind of take over that franchise, but 3 is such a perfect ending with the possibilities of more stories.
yeah.
Gunn is perfect. He can do no wrong at this point. So I'm super excited to see what he does at DC.
All right. Before I let you talk, Jeff, let me just Leonard Kim, just the one last thing on Oppenheimer. He enjoyed the Senate hearing portion more than the build-up to the construction of the bomb. That's interesting, but you're right. I mean, it's the Senate stuff feels like it's kind of a play, like a play on a stage because it's the same. And then you got different. Rami Malek showed up for like 2 sentences and then like dropped the mic. It's crazy. Josh, what this discussion is making clear to me is that 23 was a great year for movies. I don't remember the last time I had this tough of a choice putting like a list together because there's so many good things. And also High Evolutionary might have to replace Kang now. I wouldn't be mad at that.
I wouldn't be either.
Yeah. At least for maybe to set up whatever the next saga is going to be.
He's seen as a god among the people he's created. Mm-hmm. How could he not put those people to fight a war for him?
Yeah. And then Leonard Kim wants to see the new Guardians at the end. And as a team, so it was a cool team that they kind of put together. So
yeah.
Alrighty, Jeff, where are you at on Guardians? Tell me.
I love Guardians. I think it was a nice wrap up to the trilogy, the Guardians trilogy. The origin rocket story is great. As always, it's just a emotional, fun roller coaster that James Gunn brought with a kick-ass soundtrack. I am also excited to see where James Gunn goes with the DC universe. Mm-hmm. Although I'm like, everything feels so dragged out now. I'm just like, okay, well, we'll get there when we get there. Like,
yeah,
it's nice to have a break, though. I think, like,
yeah, definitely
give us time to reset, give us time to miss the movies. Like,
mm-hmm.
We were kind of spoiled with like having so much all at once.
Yeah, I think this is the break they should have taken a while back. Yeah, and I think everybody's like the one movie we're all excited for, the next Deadpool film.
Okay, that's the one comic book movie coming out next year.
And Joker. Yeah. We have two. It's just not the main stuff. It feels like we're gonna give you one side story each. Yeah.
Wait, so it's Madam Web.
Well, we're not. Sony doesn't count.
Sony's like not a real movie company. Sony just puts out these artsy films every few years.
And Kraven the Hunter.
Sony's like that. When you have a potluck and Sony's that friend that everyone brings like really nice home cooked stuff. Sony's that guy that stopped at Walmart on the way in and just picked up a few things to throw in the oven right before, or to microwave right when you get to the potluck.
No, Sony brings vegetable loaf as cake.
Oh, fucking Chris Traeger. Sony's no, Chris Traeger's too healthy to eat Sony. That would be a compliment. Sony brings that panettone fruitcake that no one likes at Christmas.
I fucking love panettone.
Oh,
what are you talking
love that?
about? I
love
panettone.
Yeah.
I was actually we were at CVS and they had a bunch that were still on clearance because nobody likes it but me.
Panettone?
Yeah, Sony is the guy that eventually you're just like, just bring the ice. Just bring the ice. That's all we need.
Yeah.
We just need ice. Because they're like, even with sodas, they're bringing like Dr. Sam's cola and stuff like that.
Like, and Sony's Leonard kept saying Sony's the kid trying to join the adult table at Thanksgiving, but the adults keep kicking him out. Yeah. That being said, I agree. I'm gonna watch all those movies. All right.
I really want to hear you put a good twist on Madam Web because that movie stinks from just the trailers.
Let me give you my thoughts on Guardians real quick, because I think the next one we're just gonna do all three of us because Jeff and I have the same number 2, and this is Clay's number 1, so we might as well all talk about it at once. But I love Guardians. I think it was a very fitting conclusion. It is in my top 10 as I mentioned before. That's why I just skipped it because I knew we were gonna talk about it here. Emotionally devastating, but it's also like very. It also feels like we finally got to say goodbye to a lot of really good friends because they're moving on to bigger, better things. So I think that was cool. I think I also watched this film twice. I guess I watched most of the Marvel movies. I watched them twice in theater, except for the Quantumania one. So I guess the good ones. But yeah, I just really love the wrap up of the story. I'm glad that no one really died. Like that was my big concern. But like you don't have James Gunn kind of showed us that you don't really have to kill any of these characters to like
True.
be it's a little bit of emotional manipulation for sure. And that's kind of what they
He
were
did
selling
make
the
us
movie
think
on.
that a lot of them were going to die at one
Yeah,
point.
yeah. Like if not
There's a
everyone,
lot of
especially
setup.
with all the rumors of like Dave Bautista leaving to play Drax, like he was on it, and of course the Rocket stuff. So, but like even the stuff with his friends, with Teeves and Floor, and like all that stuff was just beautiful, beautiful stuff. I really enjoyed this film. It's the Guardians trilogy may be the best trilogy of like I don't know, like Marvel movies. That might be
Cinema.
another topic. Yeah, it definitely is. Marty loves this movie. I know it's on his letterbox. So all right. Any last thoughts on Guardians?
No,
It
but I
also
would
kind
like
of
to
feels
talk
like a
about.
nice. Oh,
Okay,
sorry,
guys,
Go ahead.
one at a time, please. One at a time, please.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say it also feels like a nice kind of wrap up to what we all think of as like the first, three what are they called? Chapters of the Marvel Universe, MCU kind of thing. Because we could all like going on to phase 4, I think we were all kind of like everything's gonna be different now. But so this was kind of a nice even though everything was messed up because of COVID and whatever. So I think this was supposed to come out like years ago or whatever, right?
I think a lot sooner. Yeah, I don't know how much sooner, but definitely a little bit sooner.
But it does feel like a nice like after having some bad taste in your mouth from some of the Disney Plus stuff, like this is nice kind of wrap up to the earlier
Yep.
stuff that
We were almost robbed of this. Think about it, because Marvel had
That's true.
fired James Gunn, and then he went to DC and made that little Suicide Squad film and a Peacemaker show, and then comes back to finish this and then go back to DC again. Imagine this third story being told by a rando and not anyone. Just
I don't think they would have done more Guardians movies. Really, I feel like they would have just brought him into some other stuff.
Oh, really? You don't think there would have been like a third film?
Mhm. No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think that cast would have worked with
Yeah,
some of those
No.
people, definitely.
I mean, I'm sure that they've signed up for a trilogy, though. I mean, I'm almost certain that they would have agreed to like a 3-picture deal.
all right. Clay, was that your thought you were going to bring up when you both started talking?
I just wanted to talk about Josh's comment real quick.
Oh, yeah. Well, that I was getting ready for that. So this is gonna be me. I can also like Madam Web. I can see into the future. This is
No,
gonna
you
be me.
can't.
I took this yesterday when I went to watch what was it? That ISS movie, the International Space Station film that just came out. But I saw the poster and I had to take one. So this is gonna be me in Valentine's Day. If anyone wants to join me for Valentine's Day watch along of Madam Web.
If
there's a scene where she calls out Ellen in that movie, just like she did in real life,
hell yeah,
then I'd be all over it.
If Madam Web is the best Sony film, and I'm not saying like they all suck and it's the best of the shit. Like if it's a movie I come back and admit that it was great fun and I'll rewatch it often, I will watch all those fucking shitty 50 Shades of Grey films that she's in.
Nice. It's Web in Time. That's definitely what she says.
It.
Her motto. So from Web in Time, we're going to move on to, so this is looking at the list, and I hope I looked at this right. Jeff and I have the same number 2, and this is also Clay's number 1, and in the order we would talk about them, it would be that. So let me start with Clay since it's at number 1 for you. So we're just going to finish up your list. Tell us, what is your number 1?
Barbie. It's just such a magical movie. It's a great story. I mean, you have Barbie's story, you have Ken's story. I feel like they should never do a sequel to it. It's a perfect movie, but
yeah,
Shelby and I were discussing this and think, well, what if they did do a sequel and it was just all about Alan? And Alan comes to the real world and finds NSYNC and then is trying to live in the real world. And so he's trying to figure out what an alpha male is, what a sigma male is. And he just learns it all through NSYNC.
Alan wants to find his best friend. That's what he wants.
Oh,
all he
exactly.
needs.
But like Barbie had it, the soundtrack is great. Like there's nothing I can think about the Barbie movie that was really that bad. I loved all the little bits. It's made me like research the behind the scenes stuff. How Mattel really didn't give a shit about Ken, so they were kind of like, do whatever you want with Ken, but they had specific rules for how Barbie was going to be and appear. And then Ken goes off and wins what was it, a Golden Globe the other night for "I'm Just Ken," the song.
Yeah, Critics' Choice, I think.
Critics' Choice. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hilarious because it's like you let Ryan Gosling just run crazy with the Ken concept of finding the patriarchy and then believing it was just about horses and then bringing it back to Barbie land. That kids hate Barbie. Like, I just kind of love that. Yeah, Barbie could have easily flopped. I feel like the original casting was Amy Schumer, and I was like, I just don't know if that's is she bringing her humor to it, or is it still a Greta Gerwig film? Like
in an alternate universe, that's the version they got. I wonder how that's going.
I got to admit, I'm curious, but I'm only curious because Barbie is such a great movie. Like that.
But their Oppenheimer was directed by Michael Bay.
Oh shit! It would just be that whole movie would be about the bomb.
It starts with the bomb and goes forward.
It's
Ooh, what
slow
if Michael
motion
Bay-
bomb with
Michael
an
Bay's
American
doing the
flag in
sequel
back.
to Oppenheimer.
Yeah, he doesn't get the bad vibe he's putting out with that film.
No.
There's your next episode. Like, what director would you like to see have directed a different movie kind of thing?
Michael Bay just reuses a lot of his footage from the beginning of the Transformers films when it's all about the army.
Yeah.
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 Sorry, Barbie. Go ahead.
Oh,
Jeff.
no. I just
Oh,
don't
yeah,
have
sorry.
a bad thing to say about Barbie. I mean, there's nothing I can think of. We've watched it multiple times now.
Nice. Yeah. Jeff, where are you at on Barbie? It's
Love
your number
my
two
number
as
two.
well. So.
Yeah, that movie does some amazing things. Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach are geniuses. And it's like D&D. It's a movie that the studio like could have just thrown away, not cared about. But I think again, the producers of Barbie, the people that really cared about it, Margot Robbie, they fought hard to kind of make the movie that they wanted to. And that movie does do, it is as complex as the concept of Barbie is in itself. Like, is it somebody you look up to? Is it somebody that, sets these unbelievable standards for women? Or is it, something, that is it more of an aspiration tool? It talks about how we perceive Barbie, how we perceive women, how women perceive men. Like, there is so much happening in that movie, so many layers. It is just beautiful.
Yeah, I agree. Josh saying Nikuti Gawa, I think that he was in Secret Wars. As Ken is incredible with the limited time that he's in. And then, yeah, Leonard came in the chat. Margot was perfect casting as Barbie, but I think people sleep on how well they cast all the different Kens and all the different Barbies. And then what's Barbie's friend's name that's pregnant? Like, that was
Skipper.
Emily Fennell, who did Saltburn, the director of Saltburn, and
Yeah, she's the director
I
of
was a young
Saltburn,
woman. Like yeah, this film just, man, it's hard to talk about Barbie because it was just such a well done movie. Like, everything works. Like, the story makes a lot. Like, the story is perfect, right? It's all about like everything that's going on in this seemingly perfect world, but what happens when you actually go into the real world and how that's different. It almost feels like Barbie has an imposter syndrome where like she thinks that she's done all this good stuff for the world, and then going into the real world she sees that that's not the case. It's a quick catch-up study on like the patriarchy and how much it sucks. And I think it's done in a very comedic way, so it's not really like in your face about it. It's more like and then the performances are great. Like, Margot Robbie's fantastic. I could hear Ryan Gosling say Mojo Dojo Casa House. I want to watch The Godfather with Ryan Gosling.
Fuck yeah.
Like just and all the I'm not the biggest fan of musicals, but like all the musical stuff was so much fun to see.
So good.
I can't wait for summer
Yeah,
when we can
yeah.
go, like beach off each other. So it's just it really worked. The sets, I love when they're traveling from one world to the other.
Yeah.
Like how it just so much fun. I will beat you off so hard, says Letter Kim. Hey, listen, that's that beach is the hardest job I think in the Barbie world.
It's just going to
Um,
lead to a beach off.
Oh, the new Doctor Who is okay. I didn't realize the new Doctor Who was in the Barbie movie. So yeah, this movie has everything. And then as far as the experience, like I was lucky enough to get into the Wednesday screening, which was more like a party. So like I had never gone. Well, it's been a long time since I've gone to the theater where I see so many people dressed up for a film.
Yeah.
Like everyone showed up in pink with their like people they brought Barbies or they bought the Barbie that was at the concession stand. I bought a Barbie that day because I was like, oh, cool. Like this is really like this is movie memorabilia, right? With it transcends just like being a doll. Like it's like this is a reminder of the moment. So that was a lot of fun too. And that's kind of my top 3 films are more like 1A, B, and C. Like it's that like those were just my favorite moments at the theater. I wish I had been able to do the Barbenheimer where I go watch both of them at the same time. I'm kind of glad I didn't. I feel like I enjoyed them. Yeah, I feel like I enjoy the films more watching them separately because I had a little bit time to, because I watched Barbie Wednesday, and then I couldn't go watch Oppenheimer till Friday. So like, I had a little bit of time to like enjoy Barbie and just kind of live in that and live in the people and once again, this is one of the films that creates a really positive reaction for the most part on social media, which is nice. Like I love that. I love when movies kind of do that and it becomes about the moment. Like when a movie has dropped digitally because then you kind of see it all over social media with the clips. But I don't know, kids are getting real bold these days where like they don't even care. They'll put up pirated versions of clips for their inner cloud. But yeah, it's great. America Ferrera's speech like was devastating. Barbie meeting, was it Ruth or Barbara?
Yeah,
or
Ruth,
the
Ruth,
creator of Barbie?
Yeah, the creator of Barbie.
Something
Yeah.
I can't remember. Ruth Handler or something like that.
Yeah, like meeting like that whole scene with Billie Eilish's song playing in the background.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, like so. Yeah, so I don't know what else 3 men can say about the Barbie film, but
We haven't
But
even
it's
mentioned
really-
Kate McKinnon. We haven't talked about like Will Ferrell as the villain.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
there are just elements that because the casting's so good that it's just really you just want to talk about the story.
yeah. Those, I mean, between this and Oppenheimer, like, was that everyone in Hollywood? So, but yeah, really, really cool stuff. All right, so we're done with Clay's list. Jeff, let's wrap up your list.
So my number 1, and again, like it was 1, 2 was just what time of day are you asking me? Across the Spider-Verse was my favorite movie of the year, I guess. At the time I wrote the list, it could have been Barbie. And I think Across the Spider-Verse I give the nod to because that animation. I apologize to all the animators who apparently worked really, really hard for not a lot of money.
Up
And
until
suffered.
release date, almost.
Yeah, but I appreciated your hard work. Clay wanted nothing to do with this conversation.
Clay does not like in this movie, so
but yeah, that the story continues the story from the first one beautifully, in a way that I was not like expecting them to bring this, the Spot character based on the guy that Spider-Man threw the donut at or whatever, the bagel in the first movie. Like it was such just a fun little bit to the movie, and then of course the movie spirals into its own story and out of control. Love all the voice actors, and again the animation. They just pushed that animation so far for an American movie is just amazing.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. Across the Spider-Verse. Here, I'll start with the one thing that probably dropped it down a little bit on my list, and it only dropped it to number 4. So like, it's not, it could be like 1D really. Like like I said, for the top 5 films that I have, like it was really hard for me to actually rank them, and it could change, like Jeff said. I like, maybe if I
Yeah.
just watch it again, like I'll move it up some more. But yeah, the one kind of negative, and now we went into the theater knowing that this was a part 1. Although as much as I feel like we got a full story, at the end you kind of make me very curious about the other story that you want to tell.
Yeah.
So, but I want the animators and the creators to take their time, make this right, because I'd rather wait and have some quality than just to get 3 Sony movies in a year, right?
Right. Right.
So,
Exactly.
but
Yeah.
yeah, I love Across the Spider-Verse. I love how we start kind of spreading around the focus of the film, where this part's going to be more about Gwen, and then this part's going to be about Miguel O'Hara, because all
Mhm.
these spider characters are so rich in their own history. Like a lot of them have been around for a long time. Some of them haven't been around for that long, right? I think Spider went only under a decade.
Yeah.
Uh, so like I think 2015 is when she premiered. So yeah, just it's really fun. I love all the little personal touches of like Miles and his his relationship with his family and his culture. I love even little things like I remember there was a joke afterwards when Miles' mom meets Gwen, and she's sitting on the table and she's got her feet up on the table, and people online were like, if that was my mom, she would have told her get on or off the bed or whatever. Like you don't get on the bed wearing shoes and stuff like that. Or the fact that Gwen calls her mom by the first name, and people are
Yeah.
like, oh,
Yeah.
you don't do that. Whoa, you don't do that until she tells you could do that. Like just all those little details were a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. It
uh,
definitely feels real, like lived in,
yeah,
as even though, but the characters and the relationships they have with one another, everything. Yeah, it feels real and authentic, especially culturally speaking, which is
yeah,
nice to see in the movies.
it really is. It feels like it's not only a really good adaptation of the source material, but a really good adaptation of kind of the world that the real world that the movie's trying to reflect. Um,
Mhm.
we haven't even talked about the villain. I think Spot, very underrated villain.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
and maybe that was very purposeful for the movie, where like we're gonna make you think that this is what's going on, but there's like this whole bigger threat
Mhm.
happening. And yeah, just everything. Like this movie just works really good. I think this movie's only gonna get better when the
Third
last
one
one
comes
comes
out.
out. So man, this might end up, yeah, this trilogy, this 3 movies may end up just as the top like comic book films of all time. I don't know. It's gonna be
And it could
real.
very easily be. Um, Also, this and going back to a Barbie a little bit, they both had like Barbie. I think could have easily and been compared to the Lego Movie, which and they are very similar. But I
They have
think
the same
Barbie does
villain.
its Barbie does a great job of kind of doing its own thing, so that
Yeah,
you can compare them, but they're completely whatever. Just like the Spider Verse stuff, like they're kind of doing it with the live action Spider-Man 2, where you got to see the 3 different Spider-Men come together. But they still feel like totally separate things. Like they don't feel like
right.
they're like, oh, we've seen this before in this other movie kind of thing.
Yep.
So
Yeah, I agree.
you know,
I think Spider-Man also deals with the emotional stuff very well. Like they're obviously setting up for a little bit of heartbreak, and I love how they kind of circumvent that with when like her dad retires from the force, and
mhm.
the canon moments, which is like a commentary on a bunch of things. Sorry, it's a commentary on how fans take in the comics and how some fans don't like when things change.
Definitely.
Uh,
Yeah,
I
definitely.
think that was a very interesting reaction to that. So yeah, it really just works so well. And I think I don't even remember. Did we do an Across the Spider Verse episode? Maybe that was before you joined, Jeff.
It might have been before I
Um,
joined.
so, but yeah, I think we'll definitely have to revisit this film in the future, especially closer to 2025 when the new one comes out. So, all right. Well, Clay gets back because I only have one more film to talk about. Let's talk about some of Josh's favorite films. Josh unfortunately wasn't able to be here because his internet blew out. So Josh had at number 5, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. At number 4, D&D Honor Amongst Thieves, which we've already talked about. TMNT Mutant Mayhem was his number 3, so Josh really liked that. Which I get it. That movie, I think I left it at 3.5, so I barely missed the cutoff for the top. But like I said, there's too many good things.
Yeah, a lot.
And then at number 1, we had at number 2 he had the Barbie movie. Josh saying, I think we did do an episode for the Spider-Verse movie. Yeah, I'm sure we must have. So Josh and I have the same number 1. And this is a film that maybe it could be my number 1 again this year, because they are releasing a new version of it in theaters very soon in black and white. My favorite film of last year was Godzilla -1.
It's a good movie. It's a real good movie.
It is the best Godzilla film I have ever seen. Like I don't think I have a doubt in my mind now about that. Like it gave me everything that I love in a Godzilla film, which is like, give me the monsters, give me the monster, give me the destruction, give me the drama from that. But it also added the human element, which I think has always been missing very heavily from the American films. It made me care about the people, focusing on a pilot who kind of deserted his duty because he knew he wanted to live. Like that was his main focus, focusing on the human experience that is this community coming together to deal with this problem, focusing on how they're going to rally, how the world has been kind of like war torn, and now Japan is left in this place where it's pretty much they're on their own, right? Not only is Japan on their own, but these people in this small city are kind of on their own because the world has kind of left them after everything that is the horrors of what happened in World War II. And then now they have to even deal with more tragedy. The found family aspect of like this pilot kind of finding coming back home to nothing, and then from there kind of rebuilding and accidentally finding a family that loves him and that he can love and that he can open himself up. It just, yeah, Godzilla -1. It is as close to a perfect film as I think we will ever see.
Wow.
And I think that when they re-release this version in black and white, I'm gonna be, hopefully they have it around here somewhere because I'm very excited. So yeah, Godzilla -1 is my number 1. It is Josh's number 1. Now, have you guys watched Godzilla -1 yet? So Clay,
No.
you haven't. So hopefully it comes out. Man, I will say Toho films take forever to come out in like the US
Stream.
on streaming. I think there's a lot
Yeah.
of like rights and stuff that they have to figure out. So hopefully we're able to do that. Or maybe if they re-release the black and white version soon, maybe you can go check that out. But Jeff, have you seen Godzilla -1?
I have. Are they going to do a re-release black and white in IMAX?
Wow.
Yeah, it should be coming
Wow.
out January 26th, but it's only select theaters, so I haven't looked around. So it's gonna be next weekend. I haven't looked around
okay.
where, if in the area we might have it. Hopefully we do have a screening for that.
My other question is, do you feel like this could be a companion piece to Oppenheimer? Like, not only did
I think Josh mentioned that. I think thematically they deal with very similar things from obviously completely different angles. If anything, I would say Godzilla -1 is it's
the fun
way more
Oppenheimer.
interested in the human aspect of the devastation, way more than Oppenheimer. And I think that's kind of why I put it over Oppenheimer, because it was missing. It's not as clinical about the whole situation as Oppenheimer is.
I saw the movie. It is great. It is the best, most realistic Godzilla movie, I think, that there is. So I think when we say the best, I think that's what we also mean. It's like the most human element. Like if there were actually a Godzilla roaming around destroying cities and causing havoc, like this is the movie that they would really make. That would be kind of like the Oppenheimer of if Godzilla were real.
Yeah.
Because most, I like guys in giant costume Godzilla. That's the fun Godzilla. But
Yeah.
this is, as far as serious Godzilla movies go, this is definitely the best one.
Yeah.
It's also interesting to see it, watch it as an American, because low key America is still the bad guy in all this because of the post-war stuff, the way the world works geopolitically. Like Japan can't maneuver actual weaponry to fight off Godzilla because it would kick off World War III. So
Right.
there's this, but they have no control over it because they keep referencing that it's Russia and the United States that they're afraid of, more so than this giant monster or whatever that is.
So
So
if we had
I feel like there's even more stuff that's there that just as an American I'm not getting, that
Yep.
feels like whatever.
So if a real Godzilla showed up, would it be like the giant squid in Watchmen and unite us, or would it divide us even further?
If you had asked me that when
much
the Watchmen,
smaller level than we would hope, I
yeah,
would say.
if you had asked me that when the Watchmen movie came out, I would have said probably so. I am an older, more cynical person nowadays.
Grizzled Danny.
So yeah, right. Yeah,
If anything, anyone who lived through 9/11 can look at that and say, yeah, that didn't unite us at all, and it just further divided us, if anything. So
yeah. Although I will say, I guess the only thing, Godzilla doesn't care what country you're from.
yeah,
That would be a good catalyst. Whereas obviously the stuff that happened then was borders were a big thing, right? It does make me want to go watch Shin Godzilla. I hear that's a very a very good, kind of like on the same level vibes of movie. I don't think it's from what I've seen, the reception is not as good critically, but it's still very well received. And it also focuses a lot. The human element also plays a lot more, but I feel like it deals more with the politics of that. So because it is more contemporary as well. So I don't know. I'll probably end up watching Shin Godzilla at some point. Like I said, hopefully Godzilla -1 is out in like physical media or whatever. I want to watch it again.
Yeah,
so much.
Yeah,
I want to see it, and I regret not being able to see it in the theater.
Yeah. So okay, Josh says Shin Godzilla is great. So yeah, that was my number one. That was Josh's number one as well. So Josh and I ended up with the same two top films. So let's do a quick recap of this. So Clay, you want to hit us 5 through 1 once again, real quick?
Yeah. Fifth film was The Apology with Anna Gunn and Janine Garofalo. Number 4 was The Menu with Anya Taylor-Joy and Hank McCoy, Nicholas Hoult, and
or Magic and Beast, as they're known to their friends.
Magic, Beast, and Voldemort. I'll just name people as their comic book roles or Star Wars roles. So They Clone Tyrone stars Finn from Star Wars and Electro
and Photon
from The Amazing Spider-Man and Photon.
Great.
Number 2, Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, it's Guardians. Number 1, Barbie. Perfect. I mean, really, Barbie, there's not really many flaws that I can think of about that movie. The soundtrack, the direction, the story, perfect.
Yeah. All right, Jeff, you want to take us through your top 5?
Number 5 was Megan. 4, The Marvels. 3, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem. Number 2, Barbie. And number 1, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Cool. And then for real quick, I'll give you Josh's list again. Number 5 was Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Number 4 was D&D, Honor Amongst Thieves. Number 3, TMNT, Mutant Mayhem. Number 2, Barbie. And number 1, Godzilla, -1. And then for myself, number 5 was John Wick, Chapter 4. Number 4 was Across the Spider-Verse. Number 3 was Oppenheimer. Number 2 was Barbie. And number 1 Godzilla -1. So there you have it. You have our list. I'll be sharing my top 20 link on the description of this video. If you guys have a list put together on Letterboxd, shoot it over to me. I'll put it on the description.
I need to get a
yeah,
letter. I don't have a letterbox. I need to get one.
you should.
It seems like a lot of
so
work.
much fun. It's so
Yeah,
much fun.
I never use it.
I love it. I've been, you know what I've been doing is now I'll log a movie whenever I watch it, because usually I wait till I do a review for it, but now I'm just logging it when I watch it. So like
Yeah.
I don't want to miss out on anything, and that way I can go back and see. But all right, do we have? I mean, we have a few minutes left. I do want to get into recommendations. Is there? I think for next week we're gonna just kind of wrap up on media for 2023. Because I know Clay has a list of documentaries that he wants to talk about, and I'm sure Josh
And TV.
Oh yeah, man, TV is so hard to put together. I think, but yeah, we'll talk about some TV, maybe some anime. I don't know. We'll figure it out next week. It might be a two-parter if we go too long, because these. I mean, I wasn't expecting to spend the 2 hours with only the three of us talking about movies, but here we are. Yeah, see, Josh saying the same. I couldn't put the list together without my Letterboxd diary. So
Yeah, I should use it more. I just go back to our notes of the things that I've always recommended. So
yeah, but
I just
right.
Googled what movies came out in 2023, and it was like, I saw that one. I liked it.
Hey Google, what did I watch in 2023?
Yeah,
and Google knows somehow. Google knows somehow.
they all know.
All right. Let's get into recommendations and whenever we finish that, we'll get out of here, because we're almost at 2 hours anyways. Clay, what's your recommendation for this week?
Well, it's already been on y'all's list, but I finally got to see Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Mutant Mayhem, and that's my recommendation. So if they haven't sold that enough, it is so much fun. It is the reason you go to the movies.
Yeah. It's man, I can't believe how I feel like the summer there was so much stuff going on in the summer that the film kind of went under the radar for, like, you kind of missed it, and then they hit Paramount, and not a lot of people have Paramount, so it makes it tough.
And of the times that we've talked about it, you guys haven't even talked about Paul Rudd in it, who is hilarious.
Oh,
yeah.
His cameo like steals the movie.
He's great. All right. Jeff, what is your recommendation?
We're gonna jump back to comics related stuff.
How dare you?
How dare I? I've been long since working on this. Yeah, you've seen it. There we go. Andy Watson's Dumped.
You both have it?
Yes.
How come I don't have it? Is that a new comic?
No, it's old.
No, it's old. This is old man stuff.
Did you go look for it, Clay? That's why? Oh, okay.
When I saw his note, I was like, I have that book somewhere, and I thought that somebody else had done it. So I was like trying to verify that Andy Watson.
If Josh has one too, I'm going to be very upset.
Yeah, he probably does.
I've been going through, so I have like a bajillion comics, and I have not always bagged and boarded them. So I've been spending the last couple of years going back and bag and boarding my comics. And one of the things I bagged and boarded earlier this week was a Andy Watson comic called Love Fights. It's back in storage now. But I forgot how much I loved Andy Watson. This is one of the books I have. This is Dump. He's a British cartoonist. And I don't know if you can see his artwork style is very kind of like, it almost looks like it's pencil. All slice of life kind of stuff. He's written a whole bunch of stuff. But I recommend, if you can get your hands on an Andy Watson book, it's very 90s, very relationship heavy comic stuff. But it's great. I think it's fantastic.
I actually have an Andy Watson book, Slow News Day.
That's another good one.
I will give away. So I have 2 books we can give away, Daniel, if you can think of anything for our Patreons.
All right. I'm going to actually leave you guys to vamp about these comics. I'll be right back to close out the show in 2 minutes.
Okay.
I think he's mostly known for a book called Geisha, which I've never read, and Skeleton Key, also, which I've never read. Yeah, those are his early, I think, Oni Press works. He's done this Dumped. He does have Slow News Day, and then Love Fights is like a superhero book that he did.
Yeah, I
Um,
remember that one too. That's a good one.
yeah, also kind of but way more heavily nuanced into romance and stuff. I guess my other recommendation I can get into is I'm trying to peel the sticker off. Is I just read Carrie Fisher's Wishful Drinking uh, just this last week. Mostly essays, really easy to flip through, almost like journal entries for her. But
Yeah.
she has some amazing stories um, that just all Hollywood based because her mom was super famous Debbie Reynolds. Uh, but she has this great story about how she had her problems with drugs. Um, and her mother, Debbie Reynolds, being the Hollywood star, was like, I got to get Carrie some help. So she calls, God, what's his name? It just left my head. He was in, uh, uh, my brain just went dead.
John Belushi.
No, I think I'm harder here. John Belushi, Cary Grant. She called Cary Grant. So Cary
Wow.
Grant calls up Carrie Fisher and is just like, I guess because Cary Grant had gone on the Tonight Show or something and talked about how he was experimenting with LSD under doctor supervision.
I would
So
watch that documentary.
Debbie Reynolds calls up Cary Grant and is like, "Hey, you have experience doing drugs. Will you call up my daughter, who I think is hooked on drugs?" And so there's this part in this book where she's like, "I was on the phone with Cary Grant for like 3 hours talking about drugs," which is such a crazy story to me. Like it's just
Yeah. I'd be like, what
it,
does he recommend?
yeah,
What were
exactly.
his Yeah, I mean, what were his favorite trips? Like
Yeah.
when did it help cleanse him of like baggage and trauma he suffered as a child? Like
Right, exactly.
I would ask
I
what
want to
his
know what
trips
Cary
were like.
Grant's acid trips were like.
No,
That's
I
was
don't
a
feel
story
like
in
he had
here.
a rough life. He just looks too well put together. Like he just kind of was like one of those good-looking people that always got what he wanted in life.
Yeah, I love Cary Grant. I like his movies. I think he's funny. I think he's charming. I think that he would have made a perfect Superman because he's like handsome as Cary Grant, but he's also like if you watch his comedies, he's super bumbly and stuff. So he would have made a fantastic Clark Kent, I think. Um, but yeah, I think Cary Grant is great. There's also another fun story in here about how Bob Dylan, like she got a call from Bob Dylan because she thought that Bob Dylan wanted to go out on dates, but all Bob Dylan wanted was help naming a cologne because he wanted to become a perfumer or something like that for a while. And so
What?
she was like, "Yeah, her stories are insane." So
Oh,
she's
I gotta
talking
read this. This
to
is wild.
George Harrison, and George Harrison is like, "Oh yeah, Bob Dylan has these like he gets on the road and he goes touring and he gets these notions of just becoming a common working man, and so he tries to get his famous friends to just come up with random things to do." So I don't know. It's a super quick read, fun book, full of Hollywood stories and just her being Carrie Fisher. She's very funny.
Yeah,
So
I love shit like that.
All right, I'm back. Sorry, I didn't want to rush the end of the show just because I had to pee.
I always think about that every single show. I'm like, don't drink too much.
Well, that's why. So I'm like, when there's four of us, it's easier because like if Clay steps away, I can also go step away and pee. But if there's three of us, I don't want to leave anybody hanging. So, all
He
right.
was married to Diane Cannon in her prime. Cary Grant. I'm sorry, I just now realized. I went to look to see if he had a rough growing up, but I was like, wait a minute, he married Diane Cannon in the 60s.
Well, the rumor is that he was secretly gay, so that a lot of that he lived with a
she was like
friend
a
of
peer.
his. Yeah. So
Oh.
I mean, that was common practice back then too, right?
yeah.
To make
He
sure
couldn't be openly.
that would end people's careers. Oh, all right. Let's do some housekeeping before I give you my recommendation for the week. Last Sunday, I got to talk to the creators of Kill Your Darlings.
Great
on the
comic.
show. If you haven't seen that, first of all, great series. But also go check that out because They're very excited to talk about their second arc of their 8-issue series. So it came out this week. Go check that out. Maybe we'll have them again whenever the trade's getting ready to drop, or maybe if they have a new project. With that being said, I'm trying to schedule more creator interviews at better times so that it's not just me, but more people can join. I did have Tom King recently follow me on Instagram after I mentioned that we would like to have him on the show to talk about his upcoming book with Dark Horse. So if that happens, I'll let you guys know so we can arrange that. But I want to plug my buddy Rob Fishbeck and his network, Rob Fishbeck Network.
You're just really glossing over the Tom King thing.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know.
My eyebrows went up.
He just followed me. I don't know.
I know, but it gets me hyped because I just would have dived back into all his books again and then bring.
So I think if we do have him, we would hopefully get a copy of his new book at Dark Horse and mainly focus on that. Yeah, he's got a new book coming up with Bilquis Evely, who did the art for Superwoman or Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. Like they did that together, and I think that's kind of what prompted this new book. So, yeah,
what's his Dark Horse
see about
book?
that. What's that?
What's his Dark Horse book?
I forget what it's called. Give me a sec.
I mean, he's got that one about the pound. That
yeah, so that one's through Boom Studios. Well, Google, come on now. When I say new book, give me Helen of Windhorn. It's called. It's gonna come out from Dark Horse. When does this come out? So we should have a review copy for it regardless, because we do work with Dark Horse now. It's for March 13th. So yeah, hopefully maybe I can reach out to either him or PR at Dark Horse. Yeah, PR at Dark Horse maybe too. So and then if we become good friends, we can have him back to maybe talk about more of his other stuff. So we'll see.
Everlasting Love.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot, right? Animal Pound, Love Everlasting, all the DC stuff. I need to catch up on that Danger Street book, finish it.
Miracle Man.
The Penguin stuff that's going on currently. That dude is prolific.
I haven't read Supergirl shit yet.
I want to tell him about how we read Omega Man for the book club over at Boomerang. I think that was maybe before your time, Jeff.
Oh, yeah.
Man. All right. Like I said, also go check out Rob Fishbeck Network. I was just on a stream with them on Thursday. They had their annual fundraiser night. They went on for 7 hours. I was only there for like 3 or 4. I don't remember. It was a long night. But yeah, go check that out. I think you can still donate to their costs or whatever. So pretty entertaining. You catch me over there. We're gonna be talking about some award shows. I think Tuesday when the Oscar nominations come out, I'll probably pop over there and talk about that. Also, tomorrow I'm gonna be streaming live with the I Read Comic Books podcast. It is it's their 400 episode, but I'll be on it. No, I haven't been on for that long, but yeah, we'll be doing it live on Twitch. It's also the annual show, so it's gonna be a lot of fun. I'll put a link on the chat and the description of this video. And now my actual recommendation.
Oh, real quick, you should say, you should like and subscribe to our channel. And if you do it now, we'll know you're the real ones because you've been around for over 2 hours watching
until the end of the show. That's right.
Or you just popped on right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I imagine somebody that just watches the last 5 minutes of a show. That's great. Like that's all they watch. As long as we get the view count, I think that we're pretty close to 2,500 subs too. So that's exciting. Yeah. But my recommendation for this week, The Schlub number 6 comes out, which is wrapping up the series by Ryan Stegman, Kenny Porter, Tyrell Cannon, Mike Spicer, and John J. Hill over at Image, KLC Press. I think Kenny Porter and I follow each other on TikTok. I can probably get him to come on the show if I ask very nicely. But yeah, it's a really fun book. Freaky Friday meets superhero shenanigans. A dentist down on his luck switches bodies with the world's mightiest hero. And they both happen to have a lot of family issues. So like, come on. It's really, really fun. But yeah, that's it. I think that's all the plugs. Like I said, make sure to share, like, and subscribe. Good call, Jeff. Also, we have a Patreon. I know we don't really offer anything now, we're trying to figure all that stuff out. There's just not enough time in the world.
I mean, we
but-
post some videos early. That's about it.
Yeah, but if you like what
That's
we're
the way
doing
to
here,
sell it too.
yeah, right. If you want to see what we're doing here, but earlier, but yeah, we'll figure that stuff out. I'm looking into the membership stuff as well. Like I said, I just want to make sure that if somebody's paying us money, other than out of the kindness of their heart, that they actually get something in return. So,
We will take pity money though.
well, we will. I mean, it's a tip jar if you like what we're doing.
Yeah.
If you enjoy,
If you
Let's
had a
talk about
laugh
this.
or enjoyed our recommendations.
or if we offended you, send us some money and tell us how we offended you.
In fact, if we have offended you, send us double.
That's right.
We'll
That's the way
learn
the government works.
eventually.
So, all right. I think that's it. I think, is there anything else you guys want to cover before we get out of here?
Nope, I'm good.
Good.
Nope.
I only asked that because I never have the outro ready. Oh, here.
Talk
it is.
about the
Okay.
War of 1812.
That's right. Oh, that's not my favorite war. All right. We've talked about war long enough in this show. But let us know your favorite movie down in the comments too. I think that'd be really fun. We'll be
Yeah.
posting some of these as clips too.
Wait,
So-
let us know your favorite movie of last year, not of all time. We don't want to know your favorite movie of all time.
Whatever. I'll take any comment. Trust me.
Yeah, or the worst movie of all time.
Oh, that's what I want to. Yeah,
Yeah.
your favorite
I've
movie
seen-
of 2023 and the worst movie of all time.
Yeah.
That's the
Next show
comment
we're
I
also
want.
we're all gonna go over the results of the rest of the survey too. So anybody that's waiting for that, we've talked a little bit about the comics already. So, oh, you know what else I was thinking? I'm gonna reach out to Image, and I'll say this on air, so it like I'm beholden to it. Extremity is releasing Daniel Warren Johnson's book Extremity. They're doing a Kickstarter for a signature edition, which Daniel Warren Johnson explained is it's really an artist edition. So maybe if I reach out to their PR and be like, "Hey, Daniel Warren Johnson can come over on our show and talk about it. Talk about the Kickstarter. Not that he needs me or not that he needs this channel's read, but you know, I'll
Hey.
I'll check.
He's
I'll
got
reach
some
out.
time free. Why not?
We're only just gonna praise him more.
That's right. You know, it's last anecdote. I got an email from somebody promoting some new Juggernauts like statue from Mondo, and I saw that the company. I don't know how they got our email, but I saw that this company promotes like entertainment. Like they work with entertainment people, like other companies, like TV and movies and comics and stuff. So I emailed this guy like, "Hey, thanks for sending me this information. Also, we're always looking to partner with people for like reviews and stuff." So I took that opportunity to be like, you know, you can send us movies and stuff to review in advance. We'll take a look. So
Or a
and as
Juggernaut
always,
statue.
it's some here I can actually show you guys. It's a really weird look. It looks like, you know, the big chunky statues here that I don't even know how to describe it. Hold on. Oh, here. It's a Mondo statue too. So like I don't know
It's
how
expensive.
no, yeah, I'm sure it is. Here.
I gotta step away. My dog's outside. She's barking.
Okay, well, we're gonna wrap up the show, Clay. Or we should have wrapped it up. So this
Walker told me I have AIDS.
The most important thing in life will always be the people in this room. Right here. Right now. Salute me, familia. Salute.
thanks everyone for watching.
Twitter loves you.
Oh yeah. Clay?
Hail Bebo.
Josh?
Simon Center, get the fuck out.